Oh, hey, I'm taking a break from murder. Just checking in on you. Are you okay? I haven't got much time. Yeah, get your ass back in that hole. Oh, you want some too? I got enough for everybody. One slug for him, one slug for you. Put so many slugs in you, you don't know what to do. Now, people, if you let even one of these zombies get loose and start fucking up Starbucks and shit, I will have issue. Get on your game, people. And you, my dear children, back to the story. Not liking her odds of survival, Zoo decided she had to get out, regardless of the warnings to the contrary. The little Asian woman scoured William's room and took a heavy abstract wooden statue of a wolf and smashed the bedroom lock. She crept around the mansion. She didn't know what it said about them that they didn't have security on site and just stuck people in places. It was as if they encouraged them to escape so they'd have a reason to chase them. She wandered past a strange S&M room. She could only imagine the torment she would yet face if she didn't make it out. The little woman got down to the kitchen on the first floor and came upon two people wearing servants' outfits talking to each other. She listened, not necessarily for the sake of curiosity, but for survival, to know where they were in relation to her. Father never takes me on hunts. He takes sons, but not me because I'm a woman, said one. At least he acknowledges you. Ilse doesn't even acknowledge I am her son. One of 15. She doesn't have the time to fool with one, said the other. Zoo managed to slip out of the back as quietly as a church mouse and into a garage, where she found a host of limos, ATVs, and other vehicles at the ready. She frantically checked doors. She heard a sound and rolled under a Humvee. The behemoth, Floor, walked through the garage, dragging meat on a hook to the kitchen that looked suspiciously like a human body. It was butchered beyond true recognition, but Zoo found it best to hope, for her sake, it was a pig, not a person. The big blonde man stopped in the middle of the room, and he soulfully sniffed the air. Zoo nimbly began running outside with quiet steps towards the woods. She wasn't sure if she was spotted, but she heard the howl of a wolf baying at her back, so she had to believe, or at least assume, she was detected. The little woman tripped and stumbled in the mounting darkness many times, just from her lack of visibility, but she didn't stop. She couldn't stop. That was the path to death. From the darkness, she saw eyes peering at her, big, bright white eyes. She stopped. She stumbled and fell. The forest became alive with movement, and the hulking form of Floor in a half-man, half-beast transformation forcefully pounced into her. As practiced a killer as any killer that had ever claimed skill in the art. He easily knocked her to the ground and pinned her in the dirt. Zoo looked on at the half-man as his teeth widened, declaring his intentions. She could barely stare at his face from the abject fear, but she could feel his gaze judging her, life or death. Zoo felt the thing's massive tongue lick the side of her face. She was no longer sure if she would have just preferred death. The convoy of vehicles drove onto the compound as the sunlight died. The family of monsters began piling out. Lord Bristol threw Atara in between the gathered family who consciously or unconsciously boxed her in so she couldn't easily bolt for the woods. Bristol held Atara with one hand. His eyes shimmered different colors as if reflecting his dubious mood. If we happen to put her on the front line and she happens to die, would the Great Spirit care? Asked Cousin Levin. Of course he'd care. He demands a purifier, said Ilse. I could be our purifier, Corona chimed in eagerly. Ilse touched Corona's face like a mother to a child, attempting to soothe the harsh bite of reality. Oh dear, you couldn't be a purifier. You're a warrior. You don't possess the disposition, said Ilse with much more care than she would bother to give any other. She is fulfilling her role, and to punish her for that would be futile, said Xander. Why does he force us to contradict ourselves? said Corona, being newer to the family and not quite understanding all the bizarre customs. Because that's what he asks of us. To question him is to question your own sanity, Ilse preached. Still, this is too much, Cousin Levin added. William wanted to help Atara's position, so he tried to gently nudge the family in a direction that didn't have harsh undertones. It's pointless. Xander was right. We cauterized the wound and Floor walked in from the wilderness holding Zoo like a sack of potatoes over his shoulder. William completely dropped his thought mid-sentence and stepped up to Floor, ignoring everything else. A tinge of fear crossed Atara's face when she noticed William distracted and not attempting to plead her case. What did you do? William asked Floor sternly. She ran, the simple man said simply. Give her to me, William asked and demanded. Floor handed her over without much question. William smelled Zoo like meat at market. You are all over her, William said accusingly. Lucky I didn't kill her, Floor said with a lewd chuckle. William's anger began to rise like a dam spilling over. His logic and reason began to become garbled with emotions, making conversation difficult. You knew I claimed this one, didn't you? Floor started shaking his head and laughing, not in acknowledgement of what William said. He moved past William as if he told a joke. William eyed Floor. He was one wrong move from ripping the bigger man's face off. William carried Zoo back to the house and tried to let it go, not knowing if he could. In hindsight, perhaps a brawl would have released his anger at once and not let it stew and build into something real and murderous. William saw Floor hit Atara violently in the distance, and the rest of the pack seemed to join in on the beating, as if that was the spark they needed as an excuse. William ignored Atara's plight, needing to deal with the woman he was beginning to develop feelings for. William stood in the midst of the lavish bathroom while the little Asian woman attempted to wash the shame off of her body. William stood with his back respectfully turned. I told you not to leave, said William, as if softly making it her fault. Zoo sat in the shower, letting several moments pass. William turned to her and attempted to pull the curtain back and console her with a kiss. The little woman flinched and said in horror, What do you want from me? As she attempted to push him back. William allowed himself to be moved, not understanding why she couldn't see his sincerity. I don't know, William said as an answer to her query. Confused about his own emotions, William's phone rang and he answered. I'll be right there, William said while turning back to Zoo. He lowered his voice in a more sincere tone, hoping that would convey what it needed to keep her safe. Go back to my room when you're done here. I can't protect you if you try to leave again.